Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. That's the SGX Nifty indicating that we'll have a flat start. I mean, 5 minutes back it was down about 8 points, now up 8 points. Ashwani Gujral, Sudarshan Sukhani and Mitesh Thakkar now join us. Good morning, Ashwani. Yesterday was interesting. We had, a bit of a breakout, then the market gave a dip, and then last hour once again a bit of a breakout. Your thoughts on how to approach trade today?
Well, good morning. Breakout is a very loose term. My sense is, and that is, my individual strategy, because everybody has their own. I have, had 10 to 12 consecutive winning days. So when that tends to happen, the right way to go about it is to slow down. And how do you slow down? You don't chase. I mean, if you get a 15-point, initial gap up, you don't chase that. You wait for some, intraday collapse, and that will happen very suddenly. News, no news, just because everybody is now almost positioned on the upside. So you want those sort of 100, 150 point declines from the highs on Bank Nifty, maybe 50 odd from the Nifty to get in, because at higher levels there will be some profit booking, etc. So bit of volatility is expected. It may not be a clear straight upside run. So try to buy the dips instead of chasing. That remains a strategy, because you will have a few down days as well.
Okay. Good morning, Ashwini. So what would you define as a dip? At the moment, it looks like, going by SGX Nifty, not a very great indicator, that it will be a flat opening. Assuming we get 5-10 points, that won't satisfy you. You would want what? 11,425 was? Sorry, yeah, go ahead. Please.
Yesterday, we had a dip, and that was to about 11,440 on Nifty futures. Bank Nifty futures, the dip was 28,030. So if we get closer to that zone, that's where I want to play. So the idea is today could be a more choppy day than even yesterday, because today is expiry and the large move really happened yesterday. So you want some amount of 30-40 point decline to buy it, and that may not happen at the open. That may happen at 1 o'clock. That may happen pre the expiry. That can happen at any time.
Okay, well, Mitesh Thakkar is also with us. Mitesh, I remember asking you at the start of the week whether the Bank Nifty can surpass the 28,000 mark, and indeed by the end of the week it has. You have been indicating, there's more upside there. Would you still trade it on the upside, and what about the index itself?
Good morning, Sonia. So I think, both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty have met our targets. Bank Nifty, I was looking at 27,950, 28,000. I think that was met. Nifty 11,450, 500 zone, that is being met. And to be very honest, I think, this is one day which I would, shy away from saying that I'm not very clear as to where the immediate movement might happen. We are extremely overbought, extremely stretched, too far away from the intraday and the short-term moving averages, but yet we are not seeing any kind of correction as yet. So for the timing, the way to approach is to trail your stop losses, find where the reversal points are. For the Bank Nifty, that's at about 27,850. As long as we are above that, stay positive. Difficult to give targets for the time being, but that's the level to watch for any kind of short-term reversal. Similarly, on the Nifty, I think as long as 11,380, 360 holds, stay positive and use dips to buy into.
Okay. Sudarshan, if you're back with us, good morning to you. What's the positional trade today? Still long?
Good morning. Yes, Lata. In fact, I was lucky to be there in the afternoon, and I told Anuj, let's wait for a dip, and that dip came almost immediately. These dips are buying opportunities. Traders should be long at 11,450. If they are still not long, then it's very difficult to tell them what to do. If you are long, stay with your position. Don't mind these minor dips. This market is going higher. I won't even talk about numbers or targets. Let it go up. But if you still don't have a position or want to add, then you have to wait for a minor dip. The definition of the dip for me would be a Nifty future level of somewhere around 11,450, 440 in that 10-point zone. If the Nifty falls 30-35 points, the futures, then go and buy it. That's the only trade. You have to be long in this market.
Okay, fair enough. Let's discuss individual stocks then, Ashwani. More buys than sells?
Obviously, the bias remains on the upside, and individual stocks generally tend to do their own thing. ICICI Bank yesterday moved up 2%, so now it's basically leaving that 300-310 zone. So that's a buy with a stop of 315, target of 332. Reliance is a buy with a stop of 1200, target of 1265. Ajanta Pharma is a buy with a stop of 1170, target of 1225. Now these two graphite stocks, they had come off because of some ruling etc. on raw material, but yesterday they bounced back equally strongly. So HEG is a buy with a stop of 4200, target of 4550, and Graphite India is a buy with a stop of 1040, target of 1100.
Okay, Sudarshan, good morning. What about you? What would be on your radar in terms of individual stocks today?
Well, there are buying opportunities are plenty. So we start with Hind Unilever, that big boy. Again, it's suggesting that a breakout to new highs imminent. So that's a buy. The second is IndusInd Bank. I'm upbeat on both the junior private sector banks, Yes Bank and IndusInd. We talked about Yes Bank yesterday. It was in my buy list, and today it's IndusInd. There seems to be a strong rally in both these banks. I'm not sure what their franchise is, but the charts are pretty upbeat. The third buy is Star. Star came out with its results yesterday, and those results were accepted pleasantly by the market. The stock has been building a base for almost 6 months now. It's a positional trade. If you are looking for an investment opportunity, first it's pharma, my favorite sector now, and then it's independently bullish. So Star is a buy for the day and also for a positional trade. I have two short sells just because the markets could become choppy and there may be opportunities on the short side. Always short sells are done intraday. We never carry them. Bajaj Auto, which is doing something wrong, apparently the market is not liking it, and CESC, where financial engineering is taking place and the markets hate it. Both stocks are short selling.
Okay, Bajaj Auto will struggle with a strong rupee. That would be a problem. But actually, you guys are giving us a lot of index buys actually. Ashwini has RIL and Sudarshan has Hindustan Unilever. IndusInd Bank, Ashwini also has ICICI. So really, if you can get leadership with this, then the Nifty has something good going for it. Mitesh, yours are more non-index picks.
Yeah. So I have a buy on BEL, and Lata, you were just discussing some positive news flow over there in the morning. The signals are clearly showing continuation on the upside after the numbers. The stock has got into a short-term uptrend, so continuation should take it to about 129, 130 zones. That being your target, it's a buy with a stop at 116. A buy on IDFC, which has given 2 days of pullback and is very close to important support zones, so likely to bounce back from here. Buy with a stop at 47.30 for targets of 52. Lupin is a sell though, intraday charts are negative. Sell with a stop at 840 half for targets of 795. A similar setup is happening on charts of Raymond's. That's a sell with a stop at 792. Look for targets of 755. And a buy on RBL Bank for a very short-term target of around 588. This is a buy with a stop at 563.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. But a couple of you are Delhi gentlemen. You won't worry about a problem that we in Mumbai are asking ourselves. There is a bandh called by a group of Maratha leaders. And if many of you are wondering what will happen if you have midday meetings, whether you will be able to travel, we thought we would get you an update on what is expected. Our colleague from IB and Lokmat, Vivek Kulkarni, who tracks this very closely, is with us. Vivek, क्या लग रहा है आज टैक्सीज, ट्रेन्स, बसेस ये सब चलेंगे? पुलिस बंदोबस्त है? गेस क्या है आज के लिए?
जी, मुंबई में बंद होगा या नहीं होगा, इसके ऊपर कल रात तक बहुत देर तक कन्फ्यूजन था, लेकिन जो प्रोटेस्टर्स हैं उन्होंने कहा है कि मुंबई में भी बंद करेंगे। हालांकि उनका ये बंद होगा, उनका प्रोटेस्ट केवल सबर्बन कलेक्टर ऑफिस के यहाँ पे होगा। अभी तक मुंबई में यातायात सामान्य तौर पे चल रही है। मुंबई की लोकल्स हो, मुंबई की टैक्सीज हो, प्राइवेट कार्स हो, जनजीवन जो है वो सामान्य तरीके से चल रहा है। बेस्ट की बसेस भी रास्ते पे चल रही है। अगर कुछ होता है तो ही बेस्ट की बसेस रोकी जाएगी। सब लोग कॉन्शियस है। हालांकि जो प्रोटेस्टर्स हैं उन्होंने कहा था कि जो इसेंशियल सर्विसेज होगी, स्कूल्स हो गए, कॉलेजेस होंगे या हॉस्पिटल्स हो गए, उन पे कोई इफेक्ट नहीं होगा। महाराष्ट्र की अगर बात की जाए तो नवी मुंबई, थाना और नासिक, इन 3 जिलों के को छोड़ के अक्रॉस द स्टेट ये बंद होने वाला है। हालांकि 2-3 दिन पहले जब मुंबई हाईकोर्ट में इसकी जब हियरिंग हुई थी, उस समय भी हाईकोर्ट ने कहा था कि जो प्रोटेस्ट है वो पीसफुली होना चाहिए, आप सुसाइड जैसे स्टेप्स मत लीजिए, ऐसा भी अपील मुंबई हाईकोर्ट ने किया था, उसका भी असर होते दिख रहा है। हालांकि मुंबई में कल से आज बंद होगा या नहीं होगा इस पर कन्फ्यूजन था, लेकिन अब तक मुंबई का जो यातायात है वो सामान्य तरीके से चल रहा है और ऐसा लगता है कि ऐसे ही पीसफुल तरीके से वो प्रोटेस्ट होगा। देखना होगा अक्रॉस स्टेट अब इस मराठा बंद की रिएक्शन क्या होती है।
Okay, Vivek ji, shukriya. Thank you for giving us all of those details. Schools and colleges will progress normally, so that's good to hear. Last time it was a rather peaceful protest. In some parts there was a bit of a skirmish, but largely it was a peaceful protest. Let's hope this time. Counting down to the pre-opening race, 15 more minutes to go. Dhananjay Sinha, the head institutional research head at MK Global Financial Services, is with us. They have their MK Confluence, that is underway. In fact, 100 companies and over 450 investors will be participating over 2 days. That begins today, rather. Dhananjay, good morning. We were discussing the, the contours of the confluence yesterday with your entire team. But I wanted to talk about a couple of stocks that you all have as your top picks. Not getting into the specifics, but names like Ashok Leyland feature as your top picks. Wanted to know what you've made of the kind of guidance that has been raised by the commercial vehicle and the tractor industry in the quarter gone by. Are you still very optimistic on some of these names?
So I think in the auto space, we are generally optimistic. I think the focus is largely on the rural play, which we have been sort of highlighting for the last 1.5-2 years. I think that is panning out. I think if you notice, I think there has been a sort of a momentum that we have seen that is building up as far as the two-wheelers segment is concerned, whereas tractors have been has been doing phenomenally well over the last 2 years. They have actually grown in terms of volume by about 20%. So that is something that remains. I think the commercial vehicle space has also been seeing a good momentum over the last year or so. But I think more recently there are changes as far as overloading norms are concerned and other axle norms are concerned. All those things are there, but these are factors which are actually turning us a little bit more positive on commercial vehicle stocks. And while we were positive on Ashok Leyland, we have post the result and some of these developments that have come up. So accounting for that, we have turned a little cautious on Ashok Leyland. So our focus is significantly on two-wheelers, tractors, and passenger vehicles at this juncture.
Okay. Good morning, Dhananjay. Well, I was just, we know that MK does a great job of rural stocks. And you all have spoken about this theme before. But before I come to that, I wanted to ask, there were some notes I saw from the MK strategy note that you worry interest rates could go even higher, that the 10-year G-Secs fair value is actually 8.4.
Right.
Well, that looks very sharp because we are still pretty south of 8. We are at 7.75. Right. How would you play it as a stock market investor? Would you still buy the banks, although you see these higher rates?
So we are firmly of the view that yields would be on the higher side. I think that comes from a fundamental view of the way we look at a cyclical upturn in credit demand. We were anticipating a 16% growth in bank credit growth. So, up from 5%, it has come up to almost like little less than 13%. We think that in the second half, you will actually see 16% growth, 15-16% growth. We are seeing that deposit growth is actually lagging behind somewhere around 8 or 9%. So the CD ratio is already up to almost like 76%, little lesser than that, but close to the earlier highs of 78% that we saw in 2013. So we think that the liquidity scenario will actually sort of become tighter in the second half, and we will have adequate good amount of supply of government papers, because you remember that in the first half government has actually lowered the government program, so borrowing program. So second half it will actually come up. So you'll have credit demand and also government borrowing being higher. All these things will, according to me, move up the yields. And also we are having a view that global rates will actually go up. So we are of the view that Fed will be on track of raising rates going forward, and that's the guidance they're giving. As far as the banking stocks are concerned, we think that cyclical upturn in the credit demand will imply that banks who have the growth capital and who are positioned to grow in terms of their portfolio, they will continue to grow market share significantly. We are seeing that in terms of very aggressive capitalization attempt by private lenders, including the large private banks such as HDFC Bank. Even ICICI Bank has reasonably good capital, and some of the NBFCs also are gearing up to build up a retail portfolio, and many of them are focusing on MSME portfolio as well. So I think that that attempt to catch up on that cyclical upturn is a very important thing. We believe that within the NBFCs, we believe that rising rates for NBFCs that are managing ALM mismatches, borrowing, borrowing at lower duration and lending long duration, those are the sectors that will actually see margin pressure. So that is a broader frame of things that we are looking at as far as the BFSI space is concerned. So we think that consumer lending, MSME lending, etc., and working capital lending are the opportunities that will arise as far as the banking sector is concerned. Within the PSU banks, I think you still will have to grapple with the mark-to-market losses. So if you look at the private banks, they have actually upfronted the mark-to-market losses, and there the sensitivity is much lesser. But as far as the PSU banks are concerned, it is significant, and it will pan out over the next 3 quarters. So I think that those are the things that will be relevant from a PSU bank space, and we have already seen that the government has actually the program that they are coming up with respect to the PSU banks resurrection. They are talking about additional capital requirement of 1 lakh crores or plus on top of the 2.1 lakh crores that they had announced earlier. So I think the growth capital will be an issue for the PSU banks going forward.
Okay, so growth capital will be an issue for PSU banks. Let's see. I mean, SBI has rallied about 20% over the last few weeks. Ahead of its numbers, it's been looking very strong. Let's see how that shapes up. Dhananjay, what about something like a Tata Motors? I mean, it is in your top picks list, but this is a stock that has not delivered, that has actually tested the patience of investors for so long. Once again, JLR has been under pressure. You're still keeping the faith here?
Right. So I think, the stock has actually been under a lot of pressure because of global factors such as Brexit, issues relating to tariff with respect to the US geography. All these things are there. Our view is that there are triggers as far as the new launches are concerned. I think possibly some of these worries that are there globally are overstated. We think that there are new models that are going to pan out, and the volumes JLR volumes can actually surprise. I think in the price, current market price, I think there is very little value that has been. I mean, the value for JLR is equivalent, lesser than liquidation value. And the standalone business is showing a good traction. So we think that at the current level, the stock is actually, is trading at a very attractive valuation. So we think that there is a reasonable upside, a reasonably good upside if one has a horizon of 1 year or 2 years. So I think that's a value pick for us.
Okay. Well, Dhananjay, we will let you go and prepare for the conference and look forward with interest to what you are picking up in terms of key trends from that conference. We hope we will have you with us sometime next week after the conference is done. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great conference out there today and tomorrow. Well, with that, let's shift focus to what will dominate Mindspace today, because it is the expiry of the Nifty Bank contract, the weekly contract, and that index, of course, has been up and about. Manoj Muralidharan of Religare Securities joins us now. Good morning, Manoj. First up, how would you trade the Nifty Bank, and where might the contract expire?
Good morning, Lata. Lata, I guess this contract of August, if you remember the expiry which happened from July to August, there was a VWAP buy in the bank Nifty. And ideally, we have seen good traction coming. Now, I guess last week when there was correction, there was a lot of long unwinding. And fortunately, the fresh build-up which has come into the bank Nifty of lately has come at almost a 27,600 level. So we believe that, this is a better base which was built by the bank Nifty, and there is a possibility we might go to 28,400 to 600 in the short term. Now today being expiry, we would specifically say you buy a 16th August, which is your next week expiry, to 28,500 call option. I guess that closing is somewhere close to 50 rupees. The stop loss should be 20 and the target is 110. Having said that, we believe that intraday the level should be 27,910 on the futures is where we might see a good support, and the resistance for the bank Nifty might come somewhere close to 28,200. Same goes with the Nifty as well. We are seeing good build-up. Even yesterday there was an intraday 4.5%. Usually we do not see more than 1.2 to 4.8, which says that necessarily, obviously, when you buy a Nifty, by default there is a 0.35% buying which happens into the banking stocks. So we believe that the surge in the bank Nifty along with some buying in the Nifty might take it more on the upside. 11,540 would be the resistance. So you buy 11,500 call option. I guess the closing is at 93. The stop loss should be 75. And we are expecting a target close to 130 on that.
Okay, all right, Manoj, what about on individual stocks? I mean, what would you look at? There are so many stocks hitting new highs from the frontliners. Names like Reliance Industries, etc., are at record highs. Would you trade any of the frontliners, or would you be looking at mid-caps today?
See, Sonia, I guess, what you're saying is right, but then we all know that Nifty has just 5 stocks which has actually rallied when the Nifty has hit the new high from the previous lows which we made in the month of Jan-Feb. So ideally, more or less, it's these stocks which still the contribution is coming in. There is a possibility we might shift some more focus into a new stock. But as of now, since it is expiry and for a short-term duration, possible till the coming Monday or Tuesday, we believe that HDFC Limited has good weightage, and that is one stock where there is good VWAP buying, and we believe that after 16 generally, when you enter into the second half of a contract, there is a base which gets built in the first half, and generally the expiry does not cross that. So HDFC Limited is poised for a good 160, 180 odd points movement, if I have to say for the next let's say 20-25 days. But as of now, for the short term, we'll give a buy for a target of 2040. 1985 is what we recommend buying that. You can buy in the cash as well as the futures as well. The stop loss should be somewhere close to 1952 to 1958. The target that eventually we feel is 2,100 roughly should be the price we would see on HDFC Limited, and we believe that that is one stock where I will not really say index management, but a VWAP based concept of delivery buying shares will come into this as a stock. Second is Titan post results. Also we've seen that the selling which was there, it was intraday, and there is good long built up as well. So it's a momentum call. We believe that Titan has a potential to hit somewhere close to 968 to 975. The stop loss should be 910, which is the weighted average price of the break even of short covering that happened. 930 or 932 is where we recommend buying that.